All the sympathy I can get.
Okay, we are streaming
Rough crowd.
and we have a quorum.
Ready?
Judy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Great.
Well, I guess I'm calling to order and turn this over eventually. Well,
Yep.
welcome to the January 17th Capital District Regional Planning Commission meeting. Do I see Carolyn McLaughlin?
She's not here today.
Carolyn McLaughlin is not here, so we will welcome her when she does arrive eventually. The nominating committee did meet and there's a memo for people to review with the proposed slate of 2024 officers. Larry would serve as chair, Jacqueline serve as vice chair, second vice chair, Joe Grasso, and then I'd be secretary treasurer.
Yeah, can we quickly do just a roll call for the record?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Albany County, we have Willard Bruce, Larry Schillinger, and Kristen Swinton. Rensselaer County, we have Wayne Gendron, Mike Stammel, Jackie Stallone, with Judy Bressler participating on Zoom. Saratoga County, we have Opal Hens and Craig Warner. Schenectady County, we have Don Ackerman, Charles Davidson, David Hogenkamp, and Yami Han.
And I'm here too, Mark.
I missed you, Joe?
You
Oh,
didn't
no.
say, you said Opal Hens.
Oh,
Not here.
sorry. Joe Grasso is here, not Opal Hens.
And
I skip roll call, you know, you're just.
That's okay.
making up
and
names.
Jason Kessler's not here.
Welcome to 2024.
Few more broken arms.
Is Agatha not here?
No, she's not here.
Okay, so three of them and, okay. There you go.
Direct report from the nominating committee. I think you have to call for any nominations from the floor.
Are there any other nominations, other than what was proposed by the committee? Seeing none. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Charles and Larry. You can take over, right?
Well, all those in favor?
All those in favor?
I can't wait on it.
Feeling this pressure just needs to.
What happened?
So we'll pass the imaginary gavel over here.
Thank you. There you go.
Thank you. All right, first thing I'd like to do is rename the, no.
Yeah, that's streaming.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for putting your faith in me and hopefully I will not let anybody down. Next order of business is, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to review and accept the minutes of our December 13th meeting. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those minutes. Does anybody have any corrections, comments? And if not, accept the motion to accept the minutes.
A motion.
Bill Bruce,
Second.
seconded by Mike Stammel. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's check that off the list. That brings up to our next item of business, financial statements. I'll yield that back over to Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So these are the preliminary year-end financial statements. At year end, we're estimating 89% to revenue targets and 87% to expenses targets. As I've noted before, the lower performance to budget is primarily because we have been without a full-time employee for water quality. So the expense side and the revenue side are lower because we're not able to charge for that person's time to our grants. On the balance sheet, we have just under $240,000 in the bank. And we have outstanding receivables of just over $450,000. We have receivables from the EDA, which we have not received funding from in 6 months. So, yeah, we have a lot of money tied up in that and some of our other state grants. But we do diligently follow up to make sure that we're getting paid. But long and the short of it, we're in good financial position. The NICLAS accounts are performing well. And since we last met, we deposited an additional $50,000 into the NICLAS account from a CD that we had at M&T Bank. Any questions?
What is the EDA? What's the reason? They just are slow to.
There's they're using us as a guinea pig for transitioning between, the old claiming system and a new claiming system. Is that correct?
That's pretty much it. So we are at the early end of this implementation of the new system. So we are now understanding that other regional planning commissions are having this issue as well. So I just sent a request yesterday to understand what the status was. So we're hopeful this is going to get ironed out soon, but from past experience, staying on it and hopefully prompting the movement to get this figured out is what we'll continue to do.
Thank you. Any other comments, observations regarding the financial statements? A lot of numbers. I went to law school, they said there'd be no math. All right, I don't believe we need a motion on to accept the financial statements.
We do.
Do we need a motion on that?
We have historically accepted.
Okay, all right, in which case, I will request a motion. Greg, Jacqueline seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion adopted. Bringing us to our next item, which clearly is going to require a motion and a vote. It's a resolution, first one of the year, to designate our bank account signatories. The three people who are slated to have the responsibility to act as signatory are David Hogenkamp, who will serve as Secretary Treasurer, our Executive Director, Mark Castiglione, and Amy Weinstock, our esteemed Office Manager. Discussion? Motion? Charles?
Second.
That's close. Craig? Sorry, Bill. That was very close.
Next time.
Have to referee that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Congratulations to all the signatories.
Thanks. Money, money, money.
Yeah,
But where would I
Sure.
that's right. All right, next item of business, we're gonna get an update on the broadband grant, and I believe that's gonna be Mark.
Right, yeah, since we last met, we were informed by the Department of State that our grant has been increased from 176,000 to 352,000. So I guess that's a good thing. We've been working with the State's Connect All office and been reaching out to county stakeholders to develop a scope of work that's going to meet the goals of the New York State broadband plan and the needs of the counties. So and I have also been communicating with other experts in the field and other regional planning councils to define a scope of work that will meet the county's needs, because their needs are diverse. Some are more prepared than other counties to apply for state funds related to broadband build out. I've had some conversations with internet service providers on background of their needs related to the network. So the scope of work, as I mentioned previously, will include a feasibility study for the development of a regional open access fiber network, and then on-demand services provided to the counties, including grant writing, engineering, RFP development, pretty much anything that would support their efforts to identify projects, either independent of or working with internet service providers, and in coordination with the Regional Planning Council. So right now, the challenge is determining the best way to procure these services. There is a contract that one of our sister regional planning councils has made with a provider that could potentially allow us to provide these services by piggybacking off of that contract. However, because of state requirements for minority and women-owned business participation, we may not be able to if they did not include that in their procurement. So those are the kind of details we're trying to figure out at the moment. Any questions?
Mark, the award got doubled. How'd that come about? Yeah.
Congress just did this. Well, the money ultimately comes from the Northern Border Regional Commission. So the state DOS applied last year for a grant to that was earmarked for regional planning councils to assist in broadband development in anticipation of the federal BEAD money coming out. I believe they applied for the same grant this year, which essentially the net is they doubled the grant award.
Didn't even have to establish a war.
Didn't even have to make an application.
Geographic area or anything like that.
No expansion of the geographic area, it just allows us, I think, to provide more resources when they're needed.
Do you think they'll ever get up my road?
Well, just tell me your address and we'll make sure it's in the
Okay,
feasibility
thank
study.
you. Is it on record?
Well, but,
We'll make that part of the minutes.
What's that?
The increase starts this year.
Yeah, the increase starts basically at the first of the year. We have to present a revised scope to the Department of State. And again, answering the MWBE requirements related to this contract are gonna be critical as well.
Is there any percentage that, that the counties are gonna have to pay in their own?
This is match free. They may be able to use some of this grant money as a match to their BEAD funding. But there's no match required for the counties.
As of yet?
There won't be related to this grant.
Okay.
so sort of like, I mean, build on what Jackie was asking, so what do you envision in the near and short, the near term and the longer term, in terms of outreach, publicizing the program, getting, the participation of not just our member counties, but also all interested stakeholders?
So, one of the first steps in this process is going to involve, address challenges. So that's a similar process that we went through last year where we did a desktop GIS analysis of connectivity at different addresses. And we looked at whether they had access to internet, and then we looked at the level of service. And the state's goal for level of service is basically fiber level of service. There's different gradations in that, but that was sort of our threshold question. So we have another grant from Empire State Development, which we discussed last time, that's going to help us fund that process. And underneath that process, that requires, if we're gonna submit challenges to service level, we need evidence. So to the extent that there's going to be outreach to stakeholders, that process will include the outreach to those residents who don't have adequate internet service, because we need to provide evidence of that
I think.
by either a verbal documentation or verbal attestation from that resident, or a screenshot of, an ISP's website saying that there's no service there.
Yeah, Verizon will claim their service at my house, although it's so slow that things time out. They'll do a speed check and say it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's been very difficult. There's a hole in the line beyond my house where this guy just gets static on his phone line, where we can't get reliable cell service, so we all have landlines.
Yeah.
And it's getting very difficult. Verizon just tells us, hey, too bad, we don't have enough complaints. It's like we're complaining every week.
Right, well, so though, the goal of the New York State's program is to provide 100% coverage with the priority being fiber. And where the public money comes in is to provide that middle mile connection to make it, feasible for private providers to reach more customers. Where in your case, it may not be feasible or profitable for Verizon to invest $100,000 running fiber down to 5 houses at the end of your road.
7.
7,
Yeah.
but,
Never count them all. Yeah, I
but,
mean,
there's public
yeah.
money that helps offset
Spectrum
that.
won't come up. I
Right.
mean, none of those are interested.
The other issue also is that in our town, there are homes that are pretty close to the center that still don't have adequate. And they're constantly overlooked. How do these people access that grant money or the systems going forward? Because a lot of them are getting overlooked. Just as she said, it's your problem, it's not our problem. How do they engage getting into the system going forward?
So folks that are doing the outreach as a part of our challenge process, we'll reach out to them. But another layer is related to project development. So if a county, and counties are really the operative geography here, wants to develop an RFP to engage internet service providers, they have to first identify where the areas are that makes the most sense to expand connections if public money is brought to the table. So that's really a technical analysis that takes a look at geography, takes a look at critical mass of houses, and takes a look at existing infrastructure locations,
Yeah.
like existing poles. Because if you don't have poles in a place, it's a lot more difficult to
Right,
run
yeah.
fiber there, but if you already have poles, then it's easier. So that RFP development process will identify essentially the ways or identify where internet service is most feasible to increase. If it's a place that's in the center, more likely than not, that might not be the priority for connection, because theoretically, it should be feasible for an internet service provider to improve service at those locations, because there's density and potential customer base. But I just know enough to sound like I know what I'm talking about by this stuff, but that's why we need the technical assistance of a provider who has engineering expertise to be able to conceptualize where these service extensions can happen in areas that are currently underserved.
For the student provider to provide that data that's
So we, I
gray
mean,
areas.
right, we have some of the data about connectivity. The challenge process will put a finer point on that data by verifying the information or gathering evidence that the information is correct. Then the vendor will likely do an analysis of existing infrastructure, as I said, and service level and density of those houses.
So is that coordinated through the county?
So the counties will be,
Down to
you know, an
providers.
equal partner in this. So once our consultant is brought on board, we offer them to the county. The counties can choose to work with them, or they can choose to do their own thing. But if they choose to work with them, you know, we will also be relying on the counties to help us with outreach.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm particularly thinking of Albany County. They have a very robust and active group in the hill towns that are advocating for better connections. And they've been doing their own work. Saratoga County is doing their own work in 5 towns in the western part of the town. So this is what I mean. We're trying to meet the counties where their needs are, because they're all different. So Saratoga County's needs are different than Albany County's needs are different than Rensselaer County's needs.
It becomes very important, though, that the homeowner or the resident participate in this when, and that's, I think, sometimes the downfall.
And you know, this is, I mean, again, you keep coming back to that notion of, you know, how, you know, we need to get granular on something like this. And this is an opportunity that I see for the Regional Planning Commission to connect with not just the counties at the top, but for instance, individual county legislators. And Mike, I mean, you could speak to this. I mean, is anyone else elected? I don't think you're like the.
Mr. Gendron's on the Rensselaer County.
Okay, so, you know, it's the ability of a local elected to solve a problem for the electorate or a portion of the electorate. And I don't mean it in a venal political sense, but it's the opportunity for the commission to create the relationship with a county legislator to be able to notify his or her constituents of not just this program, but, you know, some of the programs we have on the energy side for people to obtain funding for various types of the residential energy programs. And if we can facilitate those connections, the commission demonstrates what we already know, what the commission provides, which is, you know, a great deal of extremely beneficial programming.
Right.
So I think this is an opportunity to make those connections, like Jackie said and what Craig said, to to bring this opportunity to the elected representatives at the county level in the Albany County case in the hill towns. And, you know, allow them the opportunity to run with it a little bit.
Mhm.
Is the matrix that they're looking at in order to divide, to see what the customer base may be, the only matrix they're looking at as far as the quantity of users? Or are they looking at it as an emergency, as well as how it will benefit people that are way out in nowhere land,
Mhm.
like Jacqueline is in case of an emergency as well?
So, I mean, the big barrier about why the private market has not responded to this is that it's not profitable for them to do so. So the purpose of the public money is to make it economically viable for them to do. So it's ideally a public-private partnership where the public money converts a situation that's not profitable into one that's economically feasible for the providers.
These providers have been getting millions of dollars from the state in order to provide this,
For years.
yeah, the service for years
Mhm.
to both the inner city and outlying, areas. So it's not like they've been footing the bill all their own. I mean, they've been getting it right along, so.
Right. I think what is, I guess, more defined in this process is that the requirements of the federal program and then the state program, the requirements and the goals there rely on 100% connectivity for areas that are identified. So it doesn't just say, here's some money, ISP, you do with it what you think is right. It says, we need proposals that will guarantee the highest number of service to the most number of people. Now, you know, the other side of that coin is that the state's ultimately going to decide how to allocate their limited resources. So of course, they're going to allocate their limited resources to areas that serve the most number of people. So if, like, from a political standpoint, there's going to be winners and losers still. And we ultimately, Regional Planning Commission doesn't have the say of which projects actually get funded after this is done. That'll be the state. So while we can do the best work that we can, we still have to rely on another rubric that's going to ultimately allocate the funds.
When you say the state, would that be the Public Service Commission?
So the Connect All office will do the first review. I'm not sure if the Public Service Commission is well mapped into actually, you know,
So that's through the Department of State is the.
they're underneath Empire State Development.
So the counties themselves would be better off, identifying as many as possible, so that if another round comes out, they're more prepared to maybe hit those areas that, they missed the first, which another round will come out.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what those RFPs would be about. Because that will involve the technical analysis supported by the evidence by the individual homeowners. Even if all the projects identified under those sort of proposals are not funded, the work is still available for future funding.
Thank you.
Yes, we've all seen this Spectrum ad that says they're out in the countryside delivering fast internet.
Still beats the hell out of standing on the roof, moving that antenna around.
That's my point.
Yes, I do, but I
Don't
just-
put those on the roof anymore.
What does the
I had
GIS
one on the roof and if it wasn't there, I don't know
What
what
are
are
the
the
layers
layers.
that example?
So we have provider and we have level of service and we have type of service. Anything else, Maddie?
So we look at PSC data that was given to
Yeah.
us last year from each of the county reps, and then we're looking at FCC's fabric data and joining that to the individual provider type.
And obviously you have to layer the density, the
Right.
population.
So it's still coming down to density.
Well,
At
the
end
initial
of the
step
day.
is just looking at the
Mhm.
inconsistency. Where is FCC saying if FCC is saying an address is served and the PSC data says unserved, there's inconsistency there, and then we'll go in with our consultant and double check to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that.
Thank you.
And it still gets back, it's very important at the individual level to participate and move this up. I have neighbors complain a lot, but they don't complain to the right.
Right,
Right.
that's my point. That's how do they drive their concern to a higher level?
Mhm.
To get more people.
Who do
on
they
your
have to contact?
I've got at least three that are good complainers.
Isn't New York State allowing an open period for public?
Yes,
I think they have to.
there's an open public comment period right now on, I guess, the state's plan. And there will be additional public comments on the challenge process.
Correct. So you as an individual, once the portal opens, I believe February first, you're able to go in and say, hey, I don't have service. And then they require you to take samples of your service 3 times or something like that, and then upload it to the portal for.
Right.
My issue is that I don't think these people know who to turn to.
Right, well, that's.
And
the
how do
whole-
we get that information out there?
So this,
Is it our
County legislators.
responsibility? Is it the county?
I agree.
That's, yeah, thanks, Mike. You can walk.
Yeah, I agree with you, yeah. Well, you should reach, if the county's gonna be doing the research, you should be reaching out to the county exec and the legislators to pass that word out, that's for sure.
I will do my part,
That's all.
because it's a huge issue in town.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, the
No
first-
question about it.
the first step, I mean, the first actual step to generate interest is that on February first, that public comment period where individual property owners can provide their information. We'll circulate that to the county legislators, our contacts, and probably, I mean, the town supervisors, mayors and otherwise.
Perfect.
No, they know who doesn't have service and hopefully they can forward that out so we get some good participation.
Thank you.
But I think we're all getting the flavor here of what the opportunity is, which is, you know, I'm a big believer in the concept of lowering the level of abstraction.
Yep.
So, you know, we can sit here amongst ourselves and say we have this program. But what the individual wants to know is, how's it helping me?
Exactly.
And here's an opportunity to say, this is exactly how it's helping you. And we don't always have to be that messenger. It can be a locally elected who's really hands-on. So I think those are the hidden opportunities
It's
here.
our responsibility to get the word out that's accurate.
That's
for
right.
People to take
That's right.
advantage.
So the portal opens February first for public comment. Maybe I missed it, but where is the portal located?
Yeah.
So we'll circulate that. It's on the Connect All Offices website, I believe, or it might be on the website of the vendor, or they might have a separate URL.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I know the portal actually opens February first.
Could you provide us with that info?
Yeah.
All of us, so. we
We'll
can-
do a blurb
it
and
out.
provide a link
Thank
and
you.
provide a link to some of the other information.
Well, let's make sure we have and you just make a little note, make sure that we have an update of this program for our next board meeting. There's obviously a great deal of interest amongst the commissioners.
That's in April, right?
April
Yes.
17th.
been around for a long time, there's a reason why I shouldn't be there by now.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion? Shall we move along?
Wait, do we need something on that one?
No, I mistakenly included an asterisk there. If there was a grant that had a match, we would take a vote on it, but since this is match free, there's no obligation financially on our part. We don't need no action to accept it.
Just double checking.
That's right.
All right, next item of business on our agenda is we're gonna get some information from our Director of Planning and Economic Development, Kate Maynard. Did I have your title? Correct. Talk about the foreign trade zone seven.
So we wanted to let you all know of an opportunity and hopefully ask you to pass the word on regarding the workshop that we're holding on February 7th. This is in concert with our partners from the Chamber, Comprehension Chamber, CEG, and the Port of Albany. And it's focused on the global supply chain and specifically on foreign trade zone. We have a international level consultant, Blue Tiger International, who's going to lead the session for us, as well as have a panel focused on really the needs, the challenges and opportunities of really companies and the environment of international trade within the capital region. The audience for this that we're looking for is obviously everyone's welcome if they want to know more on foreign trade zones, but really businesses that may benefit from being in the foreign trade zone. So to take a step back, especially for new board members, the foreign trade zone is an 11 county area that we administer. It is a federal program and it offers benefits related to primarily import activities into the country. So foreign trade zone on paper operates as if you really are not on US soil in accordance with customs regulations. So there's various opportunities. We know recently GE Vernova has joined our foreign trade zone program. So I think it's a great time to kind of get the word out and let companies, economic development professionals, local, regional focus, get the word out so they know of this program further and are able to get potential users in front of the program to see if it's something that fits for them. So it's going to be held on February 7th, so coming right up. We sent out the email. I'm not sure if everyone here is on the regular. You are? Okay, Jackie knows. So we did send out a social media blast as well as some emails for Albany, CEG, Chamber. They're also getting the message out. It's being held at the Chamber offices and we're looking at 10 to 1 p.m. We can send it out to you specifically, forward it on to you so you can see that.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you do that to make sure?
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
members.
Just a question on protocol. I've always been curious about this. Should commissioners be signing up through the regular channels or commissioners invited to come? What is the protocol?
It
for-
depends on if there's a fee.
Okay.
This event, there's no fee, so you just use the
Okay.
regular thing.
But if there's a fee, we
If
do
there's
sign
a
up.
fee, just give me a call.
So it would make sense if you're a commissioner participation. like, call.
I guess that would be motion.
I don't know if anyone else had that question, you know, I mean, we have a lot of events.
Yeah,
Some of us are.
I kinda did, but the one thing on the announcement there said it was limited number of attendees, so I kinda didn't respond because it's like, I'm probably not gonna put that information other than to work in my own brain. I don't have a business or anything, so I wasn't sure whether to sign up or not.
I would say at this point, go ahead, and I didn't mention that that's carrot. We're providing both breakfast and lunch.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, that was the reason I
You
wanted to
just
sign up.
doubled your attendance.
That was not public.
Well, Kate, I have a question on that.
you don't have a copy of the catering.
We
menu.
made that.
Of the catering menu.
No, sorry, we don't have that yet.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't get to that point. right? We have to
Thank you, Larry.
fix people
Hey,
now.
Kate, I have a question on that. When you were describing it, you specified imports.
Yes.
Is it just imports or is it also gonna include exporting our products out?
Generally, the foreign trade zone, you reap a benefit by having the import component.
Correct.
So if you're a company that has, back and forth trade, or you move goods among the United States with that import, component, that is typically kind of a sweet spot that I've found, working with a number of potential users. But because the benefits are related to those goods coming into the country are seen as not being on US soil, it gives you all sorts of timing specifications. You can spread out what customs payments are due if you kind of release the domestic market over time. If you then re-export something, so
Yeah.
something comes in, only is on foreign trade zone, then goes to UK. There's nothing due on that item. So the primary benefit is having that import component for the most part.
It's a tax break. Interesting.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great
Right,
question.
yeah.
A lot, you're right.
I mean, particularly for manufacturers, if they import a widget and they use the widget in whatever they're making and then export whatever they made, they don't have to pay any customs taxes on it.
Tell Rich to sell somewhere else. Thank you. A question, do we have an updated map on the foreign trade zone right now?
Yep,
That
there's
we
a
can send out? with
a
the-
map on our website. You can include
And
that.
is it, the businesses you spoke about, do they already have to be in the zone? Or can it be somebody outside the zone who may want to move in to the zone in order to be part of the process?
They can, again, it's 11 county area, so we have kind of the more updated, alternative framework it's called.
Yeah.
So we made it much more, efficient and expedited approval that we just went through with actually GE Vernova recently. So we're set up to really get this program operational for a user who's interested in a very quick fashion.
Yeah.
So anyone of the above, outside the area, currently within the area, but it's that 11 county area. Again, we'll send you links to the map that's on our website. It's very, I think, nice, clear, Mark's got up right there. Map showcases where the zone is. Registration, just a note too, that is being handled by Blue Tiger International. So if any of you are interested in attending or if you spread the word, just use the link that's on there, because they're doing, all that work for us on the list.
Very good. Thank you.
Right, thanks, hope to see you there.
Kate, you mentioned, that our coordination through CEG.
Mhm.
Are we doing any other coordination, chambers of commerce, any other business entities?
At the coverage receiver offices, which they're
Okay,
together to let you know, the chamber as well as CEG.
actually
So we're
forgot
getting
about
both
that.
there. But you're right, on our distribution list, we're sending out to the local and regional chambers. Again, please feel free through your connections to send it on. Sometimes, you say the same thing and just you sending it on as a different connection can be interest. So, that would be very helpful. Anyone specifically you think might be interested, feel free to connect with me or send on, however you see that.
It doesn't really lend itself to a soundbite, but if you know of any businesses that import anything, they may be of interest to benefit from this program.
No further discussion on foreign trade zones. Thank you very much, Kate. That was actually very informative. Appreciate that. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in that. Next item is a matter that we discussed at our last meeting. There's a legislative proposal, just to provide some clarity if it's needed on the eligibility of regional planning commissions throughout the state, to be eligible for federal and state grants. I see it's being sponsored in the state assembly by Assemblymember McDonald. Mark, do you want to speak about it? Do we know if we have a Senate sponsor yet?
I don't know if we have a Senate sponsor yet. The major change that happened since we last met is that it now has a bill number, which makes it easier to reach out and reference to legislators. So I haven't started my process. We do have a consultant working for the New York State Association of Regional Planning Councils.
Who's that?
Her name is Katie Homan. She used to work for the Association of Counties. She has been working with the Senate and Assembly Local Government Committee chairs in the hopes that they would sponsor the bill. But the first one in was Assemblymember McDonald, and I'm beginning outreach, and the other regional planning councils are beginning outreach to their members. No, they have a bill number.
All right, this is the type of, little clarification that lends itself to being included in the ultimate adoption of the executive budget. So that would be the window.
Yep, that's the plan A is hopefully having this in the executive budget rather than as a standalone bill.
All right. So, Aim, also, if you could make a note, we'll just come back to this next meeting, just so we know what the status is. Which, if it's in the budget, it'll be fait accompli, because theoretically, the budget should be adopted by then.
And we can reach out to our local representatives.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We all come from different counties, we should.
There you go.
do it together.
I have a one pager I could send along with us that you guys can forward on.
Yeah, if you could send it to the full member. Next item, 2023 year in review.
Yes, typically at the January meeting, I do this year in review, so let me get it set up for you. Share the screen. All right, 2023 year in review. So just bringing us back to our strategic plan was last updated, I believe, in 2021. And these are the top 4 strategies: communication and outreach, enhancing CDRPC's role in supporting local and regional initiatives, regional growth and development, and increasing financial stability. And there's a picture of, we recognized for outreach engagement this year by Abaddon Rodriguez, president of New Albany, for receiving the President's Award for Engagement for our Future Leadership Planning Program. Kudos to Kate Maynard and the team that puts that together. We also do, as you know, a lot of outreach and training. And in 2023, we offered 11 webinars. We had over 400 registrants for those digital events. We did our fall planning and zoning workshop again at Hudson Valley Community College in October. We had more than 150 people attend that. We offered 2 code trainings for code enforcement officers right here in the office. We did 34 targeted e-blasts with just under 40% open rates, which is above the average for our type of organization. We did 18 news articles about data and other issues affecting the region, 6 newsletters and data news blasts, 14 data news posts. I mean, a 10% year-over-year increase in social media followers. Direct engagement to our communities. This is our technical assistance program. In 2023, we completed 3 technical assistance projects. You can see them there, 1 in Saratoga and 2 in Rensselaer County. We began 2 projects in 2023, and both of those in Saratoga County. You can see an articulation of the benefits of the program since it was conceived in 2018 on the right. And nearly $400,000 in total value in 26 projects. So this is direct benefits to the communities and the counties that we serve, leveraging our grant money and our partnership with the Transportation Council down the hall. Data services, this year we have new data and GIS maven, Maddie Harisco, who came on board, who's really put her own touch and flourish on our data services and GIS. And these are just a couple examples of the things that we've done. So in terms of regional planning, you saw, I believe, last time or 2 meetings ago, the story map that we put together as a prelude to the update to the regional transportation plan. We've done some sort of bespoke data analysis, taking a look at migration. Matt is developing a dashboard to take a look at regional greenhouse gas emissions that was last updated, I think, in the 2010s. And a variety of either online or static GIS mapping presentations and GIS map sets have been produced under our technical assistance program.
Mark, when you do the codes training here, who actually does the training?
An expert.
We're all like,
Somebody comes in and does it, right?
Yeah, what's the name, Newport Ventures? Sorry, yeah, Newport Ventures. Oh, yes.
We've had great success and continue to have great success with our Clean Energy Communities program. We administer, as a reminder, not only that program in our 4 counties, but administer a 28 county region across the state under Todd Fabosi's leadership. We secured funding through 2026. Again, we've started the program, I believe, in 2016. So this would carry us through the 10 years of the program, which I think in and of itself demonstrates the program's success. The Clean Energy Outreach Team last week, a couple weeks ago, announced the new round of funding, which this 3rd round provides more money and more incentives for local governments, county governments to participate. I think county governments are eligible for what, 900 and something? $965,000 for clean energy projects. And our clean energy outreach coordinators are available to assist any county or community developing applications or completing the steps that are required to file those applications with the state. Match-free grant money, still match-free, right? Match-free grant money for clean energy projects, anything from buying electric vehicles to charging stations to increasing and improving energy efficiency in publicly owned buildings, smart grid, streetlights, smart streetlights, anything that you might want to pursue in that regard. The complementary program that we've been operating for a couple of years now is our Climate Smart Communities program. Again, we provide the services and partner with other organizations to cover a 28 county region in the state. We're currently supporting more than 30 communities and their efforts to adopt a variety of climate smart actions. There is money associated with this program from implementation, however, not as much as the Clean Energy Communities program, but a lot of the programs, those program goals and I think strategies overlap. So there's a great synergy with the program. And after 10 years almost of success with the Clean Energy Communities program, we were identified as the regional applicant for this Federal Environmental Protection Agency grant, the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program. So for our region, we have received $1 million to develop a regional climate action plan. We had a presentation from Todd at a previous meeting. And we are in the process of engaging and have been a variety of municipal and other stakeholders. The priority climate action plan is due in Q1 of this year, 2024. And we will continue to work in the out years on developing related and ancillary programs for this, but it demonstrates the success and, you know, how we've carved out a niche in this particular space. And we are known for that. So the CSO Albany Pool Communities Program, the biggest thing that the corporation, and for those members around the table who might not be familiar, CDRPC administers the Albany Pool Communities Corporation. Their $55 million project, the Beaver Creek Clean River Project, will be turned on for the first time this week.
No kidding.
It's the largest, and will have and provide the most environmental benefit by reducing the amount of CSO going into the Hudson River between here and New York City.
Who knows about this
Nobody?
going on?
No, I'm just kidding.
Anybody used to play in Lincoln Park knows it's not there.
The Albany Water Department has actually done a terrific job from even before the conceptual stage of this project to reach out to the community members around Lincoln Park. Obviously locating a facility that treats combined sewage next to a school in a publicly owned park in a high needs neighborhood is potentially an environmental justice issue. So they made it a priority to do robust outreach to the community. And that actually resulted in, I feel, a better design. Originally, the facility was going to be constructed above ground. They converted the facility to be an underground facility to minimize the visual impact. And they also did a variety of things to provide community amenities, not only for the neighborhood, but for the school. The spoils, or at least the excavation, or the fill that was taken out to construct the subterranean facility was spread in the bowl in Lincoln Park to provide a new base for the playing fields there. So that in and of itself was pretty innovative. A couple folks around the table, Larry, and you were there, Mike and Jackie and Craig, right?
Yep.
And you saw the facility under construction. But
They got room for a landfill I can bring over there too, Dave.
that's its own issue, Mike.
Park is the community garden.
So the community garden might be, I think what part of this project is that they're gonna be doing a variety of improvements in the area that is, I guess, overlapping the original Beaver Creek. And that's going to help mitigate.
I think that little dark green area along the road in the front is where the community garden was.
Oh, here?
Just up from there. So see the dark area that's kind of
That little-
yeah, I think that's where it was.
Well, I'm not sure, but I think, you know, this year as the facility starts getting up and running, you know, a lot of those concerns or additional amenities might be identified. But this has been under intensive construction for 2.5+ years. But you can see it really was constructed. So it's two buildings here, and you can see the footprint of these two buildings here. Very, very minor impact on the.
Is the learning garden, is that a separate phase? Is it a future plan to be implemented when funds become available?
Certain funds are allocated towards that learning center and garden, but additional funds will be needed for full build out, is my understanding.
And that's not part of our effort. That would be a City of Albany Parks Department.
City of Albany, either Department of Water or Parks Department, but I think some of the money is able to be used that they receive for these ancillary things, but I'm not entirely sure of all the details of how that's.
It is 100% complete. The parking has been done. Everything was done prior to snowfall.
The facility itself is complete. They were just waiting for the last component of the odor control system to be delivered before they turned it on. So a facility like this connects to the rest of the sewer system. So when they turn it on for the first time, they're really going to be turning on the screening gates.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that they operate. The next phase of turning on the facility will be turning on the chlorination unit. So the stuff gets screened, it gets chlorinated, then it gets dechlorinated before it leaves the facility. It goes down to the sewage treatment plant.
So it's a phasing turn on. to see make sure everything is working appropriately for you.
Right, yep.
I guess you don't call it dry run, but, yeah.
Well, I mean, you need water to test.
Yeah.
But, so the real, I guess, test of the success of this facility will happen in 25. When we do new sampling in the Hudson River, to see how much, effluent that we're taking out.
So, the site visit we did a couple of years ago already, I guess, year and a half ago, was really interesting for those of us who took advantage of that opportunity. Given that it's a subterranean structure, is there anything to see that as a follow-up visit, or is it basically for control room at this point?
It's my understanding that they have put in the stairs where you can go down into the facility. So it might be something that we can do a tour of.
Yeah. We'll give it a few months, let it warm up and let
Yes, it'll be a multi-sensory experience for sure.
That's okay. That's okay.
Fermenting.
We know a guy.
Good.
With or without the stairs.
It won't be mandatory, so it's
Right.
to each his own.
That was an unbelievable tour that we had out
It
there.
was,
I mean, I was just amazed at
Right, the scale of it.
the
We had a
scale
great
of it.
tour
And to
guide,
see
too.
the pictures now, I mean,
Yeah.
you would never imagine what was under there.
No, I just drove by there the other day because I was in that area. So I'm gonna go see what that looks like now. It's shaping up.
It was
It's good.
really something.
Yeah.
About a thousand years ago, I think I was still working in the state legislature.
You look really good for your age.
Yeah, this is pre-1990. I had the opportunity to tour New York City's third water tunnel, which was being constructed under Van Cortlandt Park. And of course, you couldn't do that now because it's, underwater. But just the scale of it was so powerful. As was, looking at this project, which is not as large, but so, it's really helpful as members of the Regional Planning Commission to get out and look at the projects that we're engaged in. And physically see what's going on.
It's well worth every minute of
Yeah.
it to see it.
I agree.
The project is well documented on the Albany Water Board's website. They have a page dedicated to this project. And they have a really great, I guess, gallery of pictures during the construction. So you can see some of those old pipes, you can see different phases of the construction. It's pretty fascinating.
Are we behind on any of the other MS4 projects that are going on in the surrounding counties? As far as,
Well, the new permit is putting new requirements on all the MS4 communities. And I think the consensus is that everyone is behind on that.
are they throwing any money at it?
Well, that's a perfect segue into our 604B water quality program update.
That was very smooth.
So
You guys coordinate on that before the meeting?
Yeah, we teed it up. We did receive another 5-year grant from the DEC to administer this water quality program. It addresses both, MS4 type of water quality, runoff, pollution considerations, and, most recently, drinking water, source water protection. So as we were last year, we're still in this new year looking to finish up the Watervliet source water protection plan update for their reservoir, as well as the Tomahannock Reservoir. And you can see the water quality groups that we continue to meet with that are generally in charge of providing assistance for MS4 issues. So the Albany County MS4 group, the Rensselaer County MS4 group, and the Saratoga County MS4 group, in addition to the Albany County Water Quality Coordinating Committee. This 5-year grant includes an additional $30,000 per year. So we were awarded previously $55,000. And this time we were awarded $87,000. So it's going to give us more flexibility to hopefully hire somebody to be our new water quality program person. Economic development made great strides. We've presented on a lot of this stuff, but in 2023, we finished in partnership with CEG, the Capital Region Offshore Wind Industry Supply Chain Analysis. And that's really taking a look at the opportunities being presented by the activities related to offshore wind, both at the Port of Albany and at the Port of Coymans, for businesses in this region, and how they can sort of onshore some of those supplies and provide it to those companies. Obviously, a lot of technical assistance related to grant applications for a variety of our constituents, economic impact analyses for Capitalized Albany Corporation, City of Cohoes, and many others. We closed out our CARES Act grant in 23, and you remember we awarded that in 2021. That's when we subawarded $200,000 to our counties, and each of those projects was finalized in 2023. Rensselaer County, one of the projects that we provided under that CARES program was a business survey, and that was completed. For Saratoga County, as a reminder, they did an infrastructure resiliency analysis, and Schenectady did a business assistance and business promotion program, and all those were completed. Flip program, this is a group of diverse kids. This was our fourth year of the program. In 2023, again, we won that President's Award for Engagement. And this program tries to introduce, college-bound juniors and seniors to careers in public policy, public service, urban planning, and sustainability by getting them to see and talk to, getting them to see real projects and talk to real people working in the field. And this goes back to some of the work that we did at the beginning of this year, and that's a map representation of the address level data for Albany County. On the right-hand side there, so you can see how much data is behind the analysis that we did last year. And we'll be building on this analysis to do the state challenge process for the broadband. And this is just a picture of me speaking at a United Way event about broadband equity. We also updated our, as you may remember, our comprehensive economic development strategy that we need to do for the Economic Development Administration. And this just represents the different components of that economic development strategy and where CDRPC fits within the larger, universe of economic development and planning in our region. We completed 5, I believe, economic impact analyses also in 2003. Those that are on the Capital District Youth Center don't need another update on the construction project, but the construction project started in March of 2023, and just under a year, we're at 41% completion. We have the roofs on the 2 major additions, this is the new dorm addition, which will include solar, and this is the new administration addition here, and this is the new Sallyport addition. This addition is slated to be opened in May. And we're working right now with the contractors to make sure that they are doing all the finishing work on the inside to make that possible. And this is also scheduled to be turned over before the summertime. But we're on track. To date, in the $19 million project, about $7.5 million has been spent, given to the prime contractors. And the success of the program would not be possible without our very talented team at CDRPC. So I'd just like to thank them for all their work and look forward to building on our successes in 2024. So that's my report. Thanks.
Good job.
Yeah, great job, Mark.
Well
And
done.
if I could just, echo what the last thing, Mark said is, the 4 counties are so well served by the dedicated and talented team at the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, starting with Mark as the executive director. And one of the things that I really have observed, and I'd like to just acknowledge, is that from Mark on down, everyone here brings a passion to what they're doing. There's a belief in that this work, and it's a small staff, but it leverages a lot of programming, that the work we're doing, that the staff is doing, it makes a huge difference, and will leave an indelible mark for a succeeding generation or generations. So want to acknowledge that. Thank you. Thank you for your dedication.
Yeah, and for all of us in other counties, and the surrounding counties, without this staff and the work that CDRPC does, we would individually have to, provide this service to each one of our counties at its individual, cost. So, it's the best way to go through it.
All right, well, on that positive note, any other business that anybody wants to bring up? If not, our next meeting is April 17th.
Make the motion to. It's been.
Okay,
Seconded.
motion to adjourn, Mike seconds, all in favor,
Bye.
getting adjourned, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Judy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Judy.
Thank you.